everybody. Welcome to another episode of Brain Scratch Case Cracked. As you can see, this is the first one in the new office. A little bit of a different background for you guys to see there. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be looking into the case of where is Don Webb? And why does anyone care? Well, you're going to find out here fairly quickly. So let's jump right in. Saxonburg is a part of the Pittsburgh metropolitan area in Pennsylvania, with a population of just over 1,500 as of the 2010 census. But back in 1980, the population was closer to about 1,300. A small town like that could be a great place to blend in, or maybe even pull off a robbery. Especially if you were a thief and master of assuming other people's identities, like Donald Eugene Webb was. His career demonstrated his chameleon-like personality. That's his professional career. He had worked as a butcher, a car salesman, a vending machine repairman, and was even in the Navy until he was dishonorably discharged. Don's career would eventually turn towards criminal acts. In 1980, Don was 49 years old and had already served 2 prison sentences for bank robberies. He was known to rob jewelry stores on the East Coast and use his ties to New England mafia circles to distribute those stolen goods. He had several identifying marks, a scar on his right cheek, a woman's name tattooed across his chest, not his wife's name, and the most obvious, his own name, Don Webb, was tattooed on his right hand. He was known to be a flashy dresser, loved dogs, and was a big tipper. And on December 4th of 1980, he almost got caught. Investigators speculate that Webb may have been casing potential heist targets in a white Mercury Cougar he had rented, and that Police Chief Gregory Adams pulled him over for a driving infraction. The exact details of what happened are not completely known. It appears that Don may have tried to pass off a fake ID using his wife's deceased ex-husband's name, and then got into a shootout with Chief Adams in a store parking lot. Adams was pistol whipped in the face and shot in the chest twice with his own revolver. He died in an ambulance while it was taking him to the hospital. A tragic ending for an officer that left big city police work behind when his own partner was murdered in Washington, D.C. back in 1973. 2 types of blood were found at the scene, as well as a .25 handgun. It's reported that Webb also ripped the radio out of the police car, and that fake ID that I mentioned was also found at the scene. 2 weeks after Chief Adams was killed, the rental car Don had been using was found abandoned outside a Rhode Island hotel. The floorboard was covered in blood, matching the known blood type of Webb. Due to the amount and location of the blood, investigators concluded that Webb may have been shot in the leg during the shootout with Chief Adams. A warrant was issued and Webb was added to the FBI's most wanted list, and would stay on that list longer than any other fugitive since its creation in 1950. The reward would eventually reach $100,000. Don would evade investigators for 27 years before being removed from the most wanted list in March of 2007 without ever being found. The FBI had shifted to other priorities, and at that point, Don would be in his 70s. He could even potentially be dead already. However, in 2016, the FBI announced a renewed effort to locate Webb and decided to search the home of his ex-wife, or his wife, depending on what articles you read. I believe that they are no longer formally married, but some articles are just saying wife and others are saying ex. Her name is Lillian Webb, and her home was located in Dartmouth, Massachusetts. When they investigated her home, they found a secret room hidden behind a closet, which was locked from the inside only, and inside that room was a cane, possibly for Don to use after his leg was injured in the shootout with Chief Adams. An agent from the FBI disclosed this info to the widow of Chief Adams in April of 2017. She started filing paperwork for a civil suit against Don, his wife Lillian, and stepson Stanley for wrongful death and conspiracy. The suit was officially filed in June. According to some sources, Lillian Webb provided the clue desperately needed to finally crack this mystery for good. She showed the authorities a location in her backyard, a spot of ground behind a shed, and just this past Thursday, they excavated. And in a 4-foot grave, they found human remains. On Friday, those remains were identified as being Don Webb by using his dental records. Friday would have also have been Don's 86th birthday. He had reportedly died in 1999 at the age of 68, though the cause of his death is still unknown. It hasn't been publicly stated who buried Don in Lillian's backyard either. Lillian, however, will not be criminally prosecuted. The Butler County District Attorney's Office granted immunity to her in exchange for information about the whereabouts of her husband's body. Lillian now is also in her 80s. The civil suit against Lillian filed by Chief Adams' widow has been officially withdrawn. However, she seems adamant that someone should accept responsibility. Quote, "She aided and abetted a man that was wanted for murder," she commented to the Globe. "Seriously, bury a body in your backyard? It's so incredible." She also said that if she were given a chance today, she would not speak to Ms. Webb. "I don't want to talk to her. If I were in the same room, I know I would be arrested for assault." The question of the civil suit against Don's stepson is still up in the air, not to mention possibly criminal charges. The Adams family attorney stated, "We're interested in the discovery that results from the ongoing police investigation. A big question that has yet to be answered is who dug that grave and put Don's body in there? And if it was Stanley, should he be charged for conspiring to hide his wanted stepfather?" The investigation took cooperation from many departments, including the FBI, Pennsylvania State Police, Saxonburg Borough Police Department, Massachusetts State Police, Massachusetts Attorney General Maura Healey, and the Bristol County District Attorney's Office in Massachusetts. Saxonburg's current police chief, Joseph Beecham, stated, "We're beyond proud of the efforts by the FBI, Pennsylvania State Police, and Massachusetts State Police in doggedly working to resolve this case. The biggest question in the history of Saxonburg has been answered. Our thoughts are with the family." The murder of Police Chief Gregory B. Adams is the longest running cold case involving a slain officer in U.S. history. And now, it's a case cracked. I gotta tell you guys, I thought that this case was interesting and I wanted to present it to you from the Don Webb side of the case, the mystery about where he was for all those years. And to the family, and in particular the wife of Chief Adams, who I know is very frustrated. From what I'm seeing in the articles, she was basically asked to withdraw that lawsuit so that Don's wife would speak and would be able to, get that immunity deal and come forward with the information of where his body is. So I know that the widow is extremely upset. However, I hope that she would consider what kind of life did this guy have towards the end there. Having to hide out in a room that is built off of a closet somewhere. I can't imagine that it was too big. I don't know how much time he had to spend in there, but I'm pretty sure anytime there was a knock at the door, he was heading for that room. I don't imagine that that was a very comfortable or a great existence. And despite the fact that it wasn't a prison cell, a formal prison cell in a jail somewhere, the way that I'm imagining that room, it was probably a prison cell of its own type. And that man was locked up, at least for what he had done in some way. Maybe house arrest wasn't enough for him. I'm sure that there's a lot of tough feelings around that, but I can't imagine that it was that great of an existence. So I hope that she would at least see that side of it, and maybe that will help bring her some peace in this case. I'll be very curious to see what happens with the stepson here. it's really tough. If your mom came to you and asked you to do something like that, would you? Would you bury your stepdad in a backyard? That's just a whole aspect to this case that we have yet to discover and to see what shakes out from all of that. But in any case, Don Webb fled from the FBI and multiple police departments for decades. And it was also kind of interesting to note that they kept him on that FBI most wanted list until 8 years after he had actually deceased. But I'm glad that they reopened the case and eventually figured out where he was. At least that should bring some comfort to the Adams family. Thank you all for spending some time with me here on Case Cracked. I appreciate each one of you viewers out there. I hope you're having a great week, and be sure to come back tomorrow to see more here on the Lord and Arts channel.